I have spent most of my adult life defending some decisions I'm still not sure I'd call wise. Only mine. Whether it was the harder path or simply the less prudent one is a distinction I've never fully resolved, and at this point, I suspect the two may be indistinguishable from the inside. Maybe I never really decided anything. I just kept refusing the alternatives one at a time until only this was left, whatever the hell this even means. Some people, when they judge me, assume there was a moment of decision somewhere back at the start. A fork in the road, a version of me standing at it, weighing options like a rational adult. There wasn't. There was mostly a slow accumulation of refusals. I couldn't make myself care about the things I was supposed to care about. And eventually, the not caring became the kind of a plan I built a life on, without ever signing off on the blueprint. Aristotle had this idea of eudaimonia, flourishing roughly, that depended on a kind of stability most people don't associate with the pursuit of it. He assumed the household resources, a police functioning properly around you, and I've always found a little funny that the philosopher most associated with the good life wrote as though the good life required you to already have your financial situation sorted out first, and mine never was. And I spent a long stretch of years trying to work out whether that was disqualifying me from the whole project or was simply a different entry point into it. What actually characterizes the middle of a life like this isn't crisis. Crisis would almost be a relief, something with a shape, an event you can point to. It's actually closer to a slow tax, deducted in small amounts you don't notice individually. You miss a wedding because you can't afford the cost associated with it, and you tell yourself it's fine. And it is fine, until it's the fourth wedding, and you start doing arithmetic on what exactly you've been trading for what. Many years ago, I dated someone for 2 years, and she eventually told me that she couldn't keep building a future with someone who didn't seem interested in having one, at least not the kind she could point to. And she wasn't wrong. I mean, I did have a future in mind, but it was the kind that doesn't show up on any form you'd fill out at a bank. I would say that there was a distinction between guilt over choice and being structurally stuck inside its consequences. I never regretted the choices themselves in any way I could locate cleanly. All I've resented at various points is how long a single decision keeps sending invoices. Because it seems to me that you choose something at 23 and you're still paying installments on it at 41 with interest, and the original transaction is barely visible anymore under all the accrued cost. Most people, when they think back on their life and the choices they've made, they can imagine an alternate reality where they took a different decision, the other path, and they can imagine their life would have been better, and they can blame themselves for that poorly taken decision that led them to the unsatisfying point where they are. I had the fortunate, or maybe unfortunate at the same time, chance to be able to take both paths. For the beginning of my life, I took some decisions that I later believed to be in the wrong. And a decade later, realize still early enough that maybe I should try to correct some things, and still have enough emotional and intellectual effort left with financial support from my parents to do something about it. So I did. And yeah, here I am, another decade past, and neither version of me, not the one that took either side of that road, felt any happier. I don't even have the comfort to imagine that the version of me that would have taken the right steps would have been happier. I was not happy then, and I'm not happy now. When a person should theoretically be able to look at what they've accumulated, but they seem to not be able to locate the self they were accumulating it for. I don't think either version of me did anything wrong. We just stopped being reachable by the same kind of Tuesday in anything that actually matters. The first version of me, the dreamy kid with big plans and a big heart set to change the world, was soon drowned by the reality of people avoiding dreamers like plague. The second version of me, the calculated machine that tries to have a plan for any contingency, that takes carefully weighted decisions and aspires for more responsibilities and a higher up position, is paying the same tax through a different mechanism, through the specific dread of a Sunday evening before a Monday he doesn't really want. And I'm not even in the vast category of people that hate their job. So, having lived both versions of that path and still being left wondering, what the hell, man, is this living or survival? What do I do now? Right, so here is what I mean. You wake up, you check the thing, you deal with the thing, you go to the job, you come home, you deal with the other thing, you go to sleep, and you do it again tomorrow. And if you zoom out of that pattern, it looks like a life. It's got all the components of a life. But if you are honest, and I mean really honest, a lot of that is just maintenance. It's upkeep. It's just the stuff you do to keep the machine from breaking down, not the stuff the machine was built for in the first place. We are all spending a third of our lives sleeping and another third just oiling the gears that allows us to what exactly? Not sit shivering when it rains? Stop our stomachs from growling? Is that really it? Is that really why we get to that last third of our lives already exhausted and sick up to our necks of everything, that we can't even enjoy anything anymore? Right. I guess everything becomes about getting through the meeting, getting through the week, getting through the holidays, getting through the small talk, getting through the year, so that it can finally get to the part where you get to, actually be there for once. Except that part keeps not arriving, doesn't it? Because getting through isn't just a phase. Once you're in it, it's kind of the operating system. It doesn't hand itself back over. And if you are lucky enough, you get a pair of amazing or at least decent parents that offer you a preview of what a life should be like. Amazing, wondrous, happy, curious, filled with love and kindness and all that. And then the trial expires and the so-called reality hits you full speed. And if you're lucky, you get to learn while driving how to repair the engine and deal with it breaking down all the goddamn time. And look, I'm not really suggesting that there should be mommy dear watching over your shoulder until you're 50 while you play Super Mario all day in the basement. I really am not. But the difference between be a grown-up man or woman and the downright evil dystopia that we take for that's just how things are nowadays, damn, if it isn't making my skin crawl. If you actually dig inside it, it is usually some pretty deep fear. Fear that if you stop managing everything for even a second, something is going to fall over. Which, to be fair, is not always paranoia. Sometimes things do fall over, but I think a lot of us extend that logic way past the point where it's useful, until staying vigilant becomes basically the entire personality. I used to think that maybe women do get it a little bit easier in some ways, since the pressure is not entirely on them. But in the hellish nowadays landscape, I don't believe even that to be true anymore. But anyway, and as a man, as someone who's supposed to toughen up, suck it up, be a man, how does one learn to stand that pressure and not crack? Or do we just keep quiet about it and get a heart attack at 45? Is there a damn lesson I seem to have missed about how to be a man in this hard level mode of life? I used to think that if I just white-knuckled hard enough, long enough, I'd eventually earn my way through the part where I got to relax into things. Like there was a finish line where everything would pay off and I'd finally get to just be a person again, instead of a person managing a person. And I don't think I fully understood until embarrassingly late that nobody was going to hand me that permission. There wasn't a finish line. The whole framing was broken from the start. So, it seems to me that at best you get good at surviving today for the sake of some Tuesday down the line that's going to feel different. And the trouble is, the muscle you're building the whole time are survival muscles. You're not practicing presence. You're not practicing joy or curiosity or wonder or whatever you want to call the actual ingredients of feeling alive. You're practicing endurance, and yeah, endurance is a truly useful skill, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same skill as living. It doesn't automatically convert into it once the crisis lifts. So, how the hell does one get to 40 and still not learn how to live? When you actually want more than just surviving, it sounds almost embarrassing to say out loud. It sounds indulging, like you're asking for more than your fair share. Like survival is the noble, humble, hard-working option, and wanting more than that is some kind of spoiled request. But is it spoiled? Am I delusional? Isn't it the actual point? Because I don't think anyone's ancestors clawed their way through famines and wars and whatever the hell else so they can eventually, several generations later, someone could sit in a nice apartment with decent Wi-Fi and still only be surviving. People will tell you that you're responsible, mature, grounded. They'll say you are good in a crisis, which is usually a compliment, although sometimes I think is more of a diagnosis. Because what does it mean to be good in a crisis? Usually it means you have learned how to stop needing things while others are watching. You know how to keep your face neutral. You know how to answer the question, "How are you?" without accidentally starting a conversation that requires chairs to be moved into a circle. You know how to make a joke at exactly the point where honesty is about to become inconvenient. And you know, that is a skill. It really is. I've used it plenty of times, and most people have. But after a while, you start to wonder who's exactly benefiting from all this competence, because you're still tired, you're still lonely sometimes, you're still carrying things that you would not wish on someone else. But now, you are carrying them efficiently. Congratulations, you have optimized your suffering. I mean, yeah, sure. You have the job, you have the apartment, you have a calendar full of options. You are doing what you are told to do. You have made yourself useful and presentable and mostly on time. But you feel like you are constantly waiting for permission to actually enjoy any of it. And the permission never comes. Because there always is something else to resolve first. Your body needs attention. Your inbox is full. The world is horrifying. Your friend is going through something. You should probably be saving more money. You should answer your mother. You should sleep better. The damn Russian invading Ukraine. You should be informed but not too informed. You should care deeply without allowing the terrible state of everything to destroy your ability to participate into society. And meanwhile, somewhere in all that, you are supposed to become a well-adjusted person. Good luck with that. There is no final administrative checkpoint where someone stamps your document and says, "Alright, you are now caught up. You may begin living." Because that person doesn't exist. And if they did exist, they would probably be unavailable until the middle of next month, and then your insurance would not cover the appointment. Few things bring me pleasure anymore. Yeah, I do make jokes and I smile politely to people, and I'm nice to be around most of the times. And I sometimes laugh, no matter how impossible that may sound. But my heart is not there anymore. Not truly. I didn't choose this life, and I've made choices, yes. Or I at least had the illusion of having taken them. But both choices led nowhere. Sometimes, rarely, when I manage to get my eyes out of the monitors, I do sit and just stare at the stars. And that is still one of the few things that still brings me joy. I admire them, their simplicity and their crude beauty, and I realize that the ability to look at them, admire them, the consciousness itself that allows me to do that, is either the unimaginable gift of this cold universe or the worst horror there could ever be. I realize that in the current state of mind and in the current environment sculpted by the successful sociopaths we call CEOs, I will probably never feel completely safe, because none of us are. And I still don't know if I can finally come at peace with that or not. But what I would at least wish, what I would at least hope, would be to be here. I would wish to somehow learn to be here while I'm still here. Thank you for listening.